Channel. My name is Anita Adefuye. I am the CEO and founder of Advanced and Fulfilled Coaching Company, and we're a company dedicated to helping immigrated professionals establish their careers in Canada, of course, without all the overwhelm. Today, we're going to be diving into a very critical topic that could be very key to your next big career move. And this is part four of a five-part series that we've been looking at titled Five Key Gaps That You Need to Close for Career Advancement. And today we're looking at closing network gaps. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Before we jump right in, or welcome back. Before we jump right in, I just want to quickly say that, well, yes, Advanced and Fulfilled as a company, our target uh, market base is immigrated professionals and racialized professionals. But this video series has been one that we've been getting lots of comments and feedback on how it has helped all groups of people. And if you are, however, a newly immigrated professional, I encourage you to stick to the end of the video, and I will be sharing additional tips for you as an immigrated professional, what you can do to close your network gaps. Because, quite frankly, you are moving into a new country, chances are you barely know anybody. And even if you do, you know people who may be competing for the same opportunities as you are. And the question becomes, how do you close those gaps? So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Make sure you watch this video to the end. So let's begin. What exactly is a network gap? A network gap is essentially the lack of connections with people who can influence your career growth. And this could be industry leaders, potential mentors, peers in your field. A critical question that we have to ask is, why is this closing this gap important? I want to start by sharing with you a survey a study that was done, and it shows that 70% of jobs are actually never advertised publicly. Guess how they are filled? You guessed right, networking. And so what this means is that your network can open doors to opportunities that you might not even know exist. And so it's important that you build a strong network that can help you get career advice, job referrals, mentorship, right? And all of these different pieces are aspects that are crucial for career advancement. And even sometimes just as simple as access to the right information or where to go to access the right information. So now that we know what network gaps are and why they're important, let's talk about some practical tips on how we can close network gaps and boost your career. The first thing you want to do is identify key people in your industry. Who are the key players in this industry? You can identify who these people are through avenues like LinkedIn, industry conferences, professional associations, people who are influential, and people who have a strong presence. And you can reach out to these people by connecting with them directly. If, for instance, you are at an event, you can strike a conversation with them, get to know them, get to know about their journey. All right. I know that one of the reasons people struggle in networking or with networking is that they don't have the art of networking. Okay. You don't just walk up to people and say, "Hi, my name is Anita and I'm looking for a job. And can you do referral for me?" And this person doesn't even know you. That's like right up the alley of creepy and awkward. So you don't want to do that, but rather seek to get to know people. Giving, I'll tell you this, that sometimes it is more long-term relationship. It is more long-term. Networking is more long-term than it is short-term. It is more of a marathon than it is a sprint. The error and the mistake that people make is they think that it has to be something that happens just like that. And that's not always the case. In some cases, that might be the situation, and yet in others, it might not be. Just always be prepared. A simple way to do this is don't try to get to know people for what you think they can give to you, but take a genuine interest in people. Understand their journey, understand why they chose the path that they chose. Even just having those kinds of conversations in and of themselves can unveil something to you for you. Not to mention, it creates strong connection between you and such individuals and makes it less awkward and easier for you to follow up on conversations with them. So, who are the key players that have influence and a strong presence within your industry? And maybe within even the city you live in and globally as well, you want to know who these people are and connect with them. The second thing you need to do is you need to attend industry events and conferences. Again, this is one place too that people struggle. As an immigrated professional myself, well, I'm now a Nigerian Canadian, but sometimes you can still see people struggle. I mean, depending on the event, sometimes I have to consciously remind myself to put myself out there. Okay, many people don't want to put themselves out there, and I understand too because I immigrated to Canada that sometimes there is a clash of culture here. If in a place like Nigeria where I moved to Canada from, if you were to attend an event or a conference, people sometimes just tend to be really open, and sometimes like the rules of engagement in such gatherings are different from the rules of engagement here in Canada. And so as a result of that, a lot of people struggle. Not to mention that normally as human beings, we tend to all gravitate towards our comfort zones. We tend to gravitate towards the one person who looks like us. An introvert will look across the room, look for the next person who is quiet and by themselves, walk up to them and strike up a conversation. That's not bad. But sometimes, what if you never find somebody who is introverted like yourself in that gathering? What do? Right? Or likewise, a black person would see another black person and just walk towards them, and that's it. A white person sees a white person, they walk towards them, and that's it. But that shouldn't be the case. Again, it's an event, especially if they're like networking events, right? It's an event, and the whole point is that you want to get to know people, expand your circle of people. So, yes, sometimes it might take a bit of courage, not a bit, it takes a lot of courage to do that. But you're going to have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone and connect with other people. And sometimes the best places to find those individuals would be at industry events and conferences. These are gold mines for networking, right? Ask questions, participate in discussions. Full, follow up with people that you meet. You can follow up with them online after the event. You can follow up with them online after the event. There are no rules against that, okay? People shy away from these. Do not shy away from it. At the very least, you might learn something. Hey, right? So, show up to those events. The third thing I'm going to mention is leveraging social media, and very closely tied to the first two, because sometimes you can find those industry leaders online, and sometimes you can connect or follow up with people you've met at events online. All right. And platforms like LinkedIn, they're perfect for connecting with professionals. You can find other professionals like yourself who are in your field. You can find other people who are doing something similar that you're doing, and you can connect with them. You can ask questions. You can reach out. You can find people who are in companies you would love to work in, and you can connect with them and seek to ask questions. Okay. And so leverage social media like LinkedIn. Share relevant content. Sometimes it helps if you yourself are sharing content around your industry, content around your field, because guess what, you are adding to the body of knowledge, and that right there says you're someone who brings value to the table. So what are you adding to the body of knowledge online? It's critical, it's vital. And when you do that, when people respond or put comments in, be sure to respond and be sure to thank them for their participation. Likewise, when you see other people also adding value to the body of knowledge, particularly as it pertains to your industry, to your field, engage those content, like, comment, add your thoughts to it. Okay, these are some of the ways that you not only increase visibility, but you also potentially expand your network. I've heard and seen clients who oftentimes we might suggest go connect with XYZ or find three people on LinkedIn and connect with them within your field. And then they go in and realize, oh, I'm already connected with this person. And it makes it easier, right? or they go in and they're looking for people to connect with, and they find out, oh my god, we actually attended the same university, and that makes it easier to strike up conversations. And just like that, networks are expanded. So leverage social media. Join industry groups online, and don't be afraid to reach out directly if you need to. What is the worst that would happen if you ever reached out to someone on LinkedIn? They won't respond, or they would respond and tell you, no, I never want to hear from you again. No biggie. And yes, no biggie. Okay, the worst they'll tell you is a no, or they won't respond. Move on. Reach out to someone else, okay? And and I should say that how you reach out, what you're saying is also important, and timing too. If you are, let's say you're reaching out to somebody in a different time zone, you might want to take into account what the time in their zone is. Some people frown at being sent messages at odd times, and not everybody remembers that people are in different time zones. So be gracious and be thoughtful in how you are approaching. Okay. All right. So number 4, I would say, is seek mentorship. Now, the truth is that not all of us, we don't all always have the answers to the questions, to the things. No, we don't know everything. So a good mentor would help provide guidance, introduce you to their network, and help you navigate your career path. I know people talk a lot about sponsorship, and it's good, it's great. Someone who speaks through you behind closed doors. Great, good, brilliant. But sometimes I think that we underplay the role and the importance of mentors. And because there are some mentors who would even step into sponsorship roles for you. They're both sponsors and mentors at the same time. And a simple, hey, here's someone I've worked with, or she's a mentee, she's great at XYZ, and she has a bachelor's in whatever course of study. Um, you know, I noticed that you're recruiting for a position, and I think that she'll be a great fit. Where can she send her resume? Questions like that, like even just conversations like that, it goes a long way for many people. All right. And so I think sometimes that we underplay what the roles of mentors. They can provide guidance, introduce you to their network, they can help you navigate your career path. And it is important. And sometimes you can also find mentors within industry associations. Some industry associations actually have a mentorship system built into it. And so leverage those. Find out if your industry association has any of such, and find those and leverage them. That way you're connected. Some workplaces too. I have worked in places, in organizations that, I think about my last 3 or 4 organizations have mentorship systems in place, and I leverage them every single time, right? And I walked away with great connections that I still have in contact. I still keep in touch with till today. And one of them has even gone beyond just being a mentor, who we talk about work strictly at workplace, not just even being a mentor who is in my life. We both don't work in the same place anymore, but he's still very much a part of my life, and our families too. And so you never know what those opportunities might translate into. So find out within your organization if you're working, find out within your industry association if you're a member, and see what mentorship systems might be in place already, and leverage those. And number 5, follow up on existing relationships, and maintain those relationships. You got to fan the flames. In trying to create new relationships, do not forget the old. Okay, do not forget the old. Follow up, maintain those relationships. It's not just about networking. It's not just about initial connection or that referral that they give you. It's about building and nurturing long-term relationships. I believe I said earlier, if I haven't, I'm saying it now, that the mistake people make is they think that networking is a sprint, or that relationship building is a sprint. It is not. Networking is the avenue that you have, or networking events or opportunities is the avenue that you have to reach out to people and build connections. However, relationship building is a long-term process, okay? You want to send follow-up messages, share updates, stay in touch, check in. If you're at a level in a relationship with someone where they have given you their cell numbers and you're texting back and forth, once in a while check in. Once in a while book coffee. Once in a while book lunch, depending on the relationship that you have with such individual. you know Send a follow-up message on LinkedIn. If you see them put out posts, like, comments, share. Okay, it doesn't hurt to do all of that. What you're telling them is that I'd like to establish something deeper here. I'd like to establish something more long term. And in some instances, most people are more than willing to reciprocate, is what I find in my experience. And I have seen many of my clients, our clients, also attest to that fact. Now, that's where we're going to stop. But before I wrap this up, I did promise that if you're a newcomer to Canada, I will talk about additional things that you can do to help close your network gap. And this is important because it can be hard to find people who you need to talk to. So, the very first thing that I would say here is that leverage what you already know, leverage what and who you already know. Chances are that if you're coming into Canada as a newcomer, the odds that you absolutely know no one is slim to none, right? But even if you absolutely know no one, I've seen people do this, and I actually have connections that I now have, some even family friends. And they reached out on LinkedIn. They leveraged social media and they reached out on LinkedIn to myself or to other people, and they shared that they were coming to a city, the same city where we live, and here's who they are, here's what they do. If they can, any support that we can render would be helpful. Again, 9 out of 10 times people are willing to help and support. And so start with what you know, start with who you know. And even if you know no one, then start with people who look like you, because chances that someone who looks like you is more readily available to help, in that they understand the situation you are in, and because they may have been in that place before. And I'm saying may, because just because someone is Eastern European like you or African like you does not necessarily mean that they immigrated anytime. Like, they may be third generation, fourth generation Canadians and were born here. Okay, so I'm saying may, but even if they can help you, you can always ask for someone that they can connect you to help. So start with who you know, start with people who look like you, and reach out in those connections. And very closely related to that, which is number two, is that some cultural associations exist. So, for instance, there is a Nigerian Canadian Association, I believe, and there's a Saskatchewan Canadian Association. There's a Nigerian Regina uh, Association, something like that. And these associations are actually there to help you relative to the peculiarities around your culture, the peculiarities around the nuanced things, right? The nuances that may not be in textbooks. Okay. So find those, leverage them, and you'll be glad you did. The third thing I'm going to talk about is leveraging settlement organizations. Yes, Canada actually has a lot of settlement organizations. There's one in at least in every major city, or at least every province, right? So you can leverage them. And some of these settlement organizations, you can start to reach out even pre-arrival, and you can start to build connections, make connections. And when you even show up in person to Canada, you want to go in there. Sometimes I tell people, you access their services, you go in there. Sometimes you might not even access his service, but you go in there, you get to make connections, you get to meet people. Sometimes they have volunteering opportunities, which, by the way, can help with your experience gap, right? And they have those opportunities, and you can take advantage. And some of them sometimes also conduct career fairs. You can leverage those as well and get to meet people and build connections, at least initial connections that you can follow up on and build out a relationship with later on. The other thing that you can also do is, now I talked about cultural associations, but you can also join local community groups and associations as well. All right, there are numerous organizations, and sometimes within every community, there is some form of community association or community organization that you can be a part of. Again, volunteer, get to meet people. Now, if you have kids, this is another great way is have your kids in extracurricular activities, and in just by being there, you get to meet more people. There are other parents, right, who you can have conversations with. And again, people are more than happy to help. Sometimes it might just be someone pointing you in the direction of the right information to access. And finally, in addition to career fairs, there might be other newcomer targeted events that can happen across cities. Sometimes faith-based organizations too. I should mention that, all right? Faith-based organizations too. I go to church, and I know, like my church, for instance, we actually have a sub-registered charity organization that attends to newcomers. So you might find the same in many churches, right? If our churches who are not even predominantly of immigrant backgrounds also do these things now because they have they've seen the need, and they're all pitching in to help. So I really hope that these have helped you, and I believe very strongly that by leveraging all of these practical steps and tips that we have shared today, that you can effectively close your network gaps. Remember, there's this saying that I love that I just want to leave you with. And the saying is that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. So how are you going to make sure that you put others in your life today? Because they might just be the next best opportunity you have for your career, might just be in the next person you meet. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment and let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you want to share with us what kinds of content you would like to see us produce for you, we're more than happy to oblige. Okay, so tell us what kinds of content you want to see on our YouTube channel. You can follow us on Instagram, on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, and in any of those platforms you can find us as Advanced and Fulfilled. Okay, thank you once again, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.